I am 61 years old, and if my bridge club heard what I'm about to tell you, I'd be exiled by tomorrow morning. We spend our lives nodding and smiling, but tonight, I need to tell you the truth about what women my age really think of you. You've been told that opening up is the key to a woman's heart, but that is a dangerous lie. In reality, the moment you spill your deepest insecurities or past failures, something inside us clicks off forever. I've seen my friends lose respect for good men in a single afternoon because those men mistook curiosity for a green light to fall apart. I know this sounds harsh, but you need to understand the hidden rules of the game we play. If you want to keep your dignity and her attraction, you must learn to maintain what I call the strategic reserve. Stay with me for a moment, because what I'm about to reveal is the only thing standing between your peace and another painful heartbreak. It starts with a simple conversation, usually over dinner or a quiet walk. She asks about your past, and you think she's offering a shoulder to lean on. But you need to understand that for a woman my age, this isn't a moment of connection. It's a full-scale forensic audit of your life. We aren't looking for a soulmate to cry with. We are performing a risk assessment on our remaining peaceful years. When you tell us about that business that went under, or the house you lost in the divorce, we aren't feeling your pain. We are calculating if you're a survivor or a liability that will eventually drain our own hard-earned stability. Think of your past as a credit report. Most men make the mistake of showing every late payment and every default, thinking honesty will buy intimacy. It won't. If you speak about your failures with victim energy, she starts to see you as damaged goods. She doesn't want to be your bank, and she certainly doesn't want to provide a loan of her respect to a man who sounds defeated by his own history. Mention your failures only in passing. Focus on the lesson, not the pain. If you linger on the hurt, she sees a project, not a partner. At my age, I'm done fixing people. Then there is the test of the storm. A mature woman is looking for a place to land, a solid ground where she can finally feel safe. Intimacy to us means knowing that you are the eye of the storm. But the moment you let your emotions overwhelm your logic, you stop being the lighthouse and become the shipwrecked sailor looking for a shore. You become a puddle she has to step around. No woman wants to spend her Saturday nights emotionally stabilizing a man who should already be his own foundation. If she has to lead you back to calm every week, her attraction will evaporate. When life hits you hard, wait 24 hours before you even mention it to her. Solve the core issue in silence. Then report the victory when the smoke has cleared. This isn't being cold, it's being reliable. It shows her that your world is handled, and that is the most intoxicating thing a man can offer a woman in her 60s. But the past and the storm are just the visible cracks. There are deeper, more deceptive traps that women lay out, often without even realizing it themselves. One of the most dangerous involves a person you probably still think about every single day, your ex-wife. Let me tell you why talking about her is the quickest way to end up alone. Now we enter the territory of the ghost, your ex-wife. Nothing kills a woman's respect faster than hearing you complain about her. When you vent your bitterness, you think you're being honest, but women my age only hear one thing. You are still mentally married to your resentment. You haven't moved on. You've just brought your baggage to my door. If you speak of her with venom, I'll always wonder if I am the next one you will vilify. It signals your heart is full of hate. Resentment is a third person in the bed, and no woman my age wants to sleep in a crowd. We have spent decades managing family dramas. We aren't looking to join yours. Keep your past failures in the past. Then there is the deep talk trap. She asks, "What are you thinking?" And you think it's an invitation to a long monologue about your existential dread. Stop right there. She isn't looking for your cracks. She's checking the foundation to see if it's solid. If you pivot into a display of insecurity, her respect for you devalues instantly. Answer emotional questions with action-oriented statements. We want to hear that your world is handled, not that it's crumbling. Intimacy isn't a confession, it's the shared comfort of strength. Money is the next trap. Even if she is wealthy, she needs to know your world is stable. The moment you share financial anxieties too early, her attraction evaporates. Safety is everything at our age. Watch the small things, because women like me are always watching. How you handle a waiter getting your order wrong, or a traffic jam, is a silent audit of your reliability. If you lose your cool over a cold soup, you are failing the weight-bearing test. A man who cannot handle a minor inconvenience is a man who will surely crumble when the real challenges of aging arrive. We need a pillar, not a leaf in the wind. Stay calm when the world gets loud. Respect is a mirror. If you don't respect your own boundaries enough to keep your inner chaos private, she will never reflect respect back to you. Your silence isn't coldness, it is your fortress. It is the only way to preserve your dignity. If you are tired of being the nice guy who keeps getting discarded for being too open, subscribe. Every week, I reveal more truths that other women my age would never admit to your face. We need to keep you protected from these psychological traps. Write dignity in the comments if you have ever felt a woman pull away the moment you showed her your vulnerable side. You are not alone. Thousands of men have already reclaimed their peace through these hard lessons. True intimacy is built on shared presence and reliability, not on offloading traumas that turn you into a project she no longer wants to manage. Keep your gates closed until a queen proves she is there to defend the castle, not just occupy it. Look back at your life and choose dignity over the hollow promise of being seen. Peace is the only prize worth winning, and your silence is the wall that guards it. A man's silence is his fortress. You've seen the signs, but now I need to tell you the real why. Why do women my age encourage you to open up, only to pull away the second you do? It's a contradiction that ruins good men, but there is a very specific, very selfish reason behind it that we will almost never admit to your face. You see, a woman in her 60s has usually spent 40 years being everyone's emotional janitor. We've raised the children, managed the household dramas, and smoothed over the cracks in everyone else's lives. By the time we reach this stage, our nurturing tank isn't just low, it's bone dry. We aren't looking for another person to take care of. We are looking for a vacation from being a mother. When you start pouring out your insecurities, you accidentally trigger what I call the motherhood reflex. Instead of feeling like your lover or your partner, We suddenly feel like your parent. The romance dies in that exact moment because you cannot be attracted to someone you feel obligated to manage. We want a man who adds peace to our lives, not another task to complete or a project to fix. We ask for your vulnerability, but what we are actually doing is performing a cold test of your weight-bearing capacity. We want to see how much pressure it takes to make your foundations snap. If you break under the weight of a simple question, we know you will never survive the real, heavy storms of our aging years together. Behind every deep talk we initiate is a hidden, selfish fear. We are terrified that if life gets heavy, we will be the ones left holding up the roof while you crumble. We have spent decades supporting everyone else, and we simply refuse to spend our final chapters being an emotional crutch for a man who lacks his own foundation. At our age, time is the most precious thing we have left. We aren't interested in building a man anymore, or waiting for someone to finally find themselves. If you show us that you are still fighting demons from 30 years ago, we see a liability that will steal our remaining good years. We want to enjoy the sunset, not spend it in a therapy session where we have to do the heavy lifting. This is why your silence is your greatest strength. When you keep your inner chaos to yourself, you allow us to finally relax and step out of the manager role. You give us the rare permission to be women again, resting in the shadow of a man who is his own source of stability and masculine power. Understand that for a woman like me, a man's strength isn't just attractive, it's a requirement for our own peace of mind. We have already done the work of raising families. Now we want to be led by someone who doesn't need a map or a shoulder to cry on every time the wind changes direction. Your strategic reserve isn't coldness. It is the insurance policy we need to feel truly safe. Let me tell you something that isn't pleasant to hear, but it is the cold truth. My friend Brenda once described her ex-husband's vulnerability as trying to breastfeed a grown man. It sounds cruel, doesn't it? But that is exactly how we feel when you collapse in front of us. We don't see a human being in touch with his feelings. We see a man who has regressed into a child, demanding a type of nourishment we simply no longer have the strength to provide. You see, by the time we reach our 60s, we have developed a very sharp, very cynical ear for emotional vomiting. We can tell the difference between a man sharing a perspective and a man looking for a mother. When you lean on us too hard, we don't feel closer to you. We feel a heavy, suffocating weight on our chests. We start calculating how much of our remaining freedom we'll have to sacrifice just to keep you upright and functioning. And do you know what's even worse? Sometimes we goad you into it on purpose. We create a soft, inviting environment and whisper that it's okay to let it all out. It's a trap, though most of us wouldn't admit that even to ourselves. We are testing your structural integrity. We want to see if you are a man of substance or just a hollow shell held together by pride. If you break, we have our answer, and the exit strategy begins that very night. When we get together for coffee, we don't praise the men who cried on our shoulders. We pity them. We use words like unstable, needy, or exhausting. It's a betrayal of the promise of intimacy, I know, but you must understand that at this stage of life, we are looking for a fortress to inhabit, not a ruin to rebuild. We have spent decades fixing broken things. We are tired, and a man who adds to that tiredness is a man who will soon be single. It's about the safety net. Every woman my age, no matter how successful she is, has a primitive need to know that her partner is a solid wall against the world. When you show us your cracks, you aren't being authentic in a way that builds trust. You are showing us that our safety net is made of wet paper. You are telling us that if the wind blows too hard, we will be the ones who have to protect you. And that is a price we aren't willing to pay. In the end, what every woman my age truly wants is simple: peace. We want the luxury of being soft because you are hard. We want the freedom to be feminine because your masculine core is unshakable. When you offload your trauma onto us, you force us back into the provider and protector roles we are trying to escape. You steal our peace to pay for your catharsis. It is a selfish exchange, and we resent you for it, even as we pretend to listen. You have a choice to make. You can be the open man who is seen and understood right up until the moment she leaves you for someone more stable. Or you can be the man of the strategic reserve, the man who handles his own shadows in the dark so he can bring only light into the room. One path leads to a temporary relief of your ego. The other leads to the permanent respect and devotion of a woman who finally feels she can rest. We are all walking toward the sunset, and nobody wants to walk it with someone who trips over every pebble. Be the man who walks with a steady stride. Keep your gates closed to the chaos and your heart open to the peace you've earned. This is the only way to ensure that the woman by your side stays there, because she admires your strength, not because she's stuck managing your weakness. Remember, your dignity is the only thing that cannot be replaced once it is gone. What I've shared with you today isn't about being a cold or distant man. It is about understanding the high price of our peace at this stage of life. We are all tired of the noise and the emotional heavy lifting. When you maintain your strategic reserve, you aren't hiding. You are protecting the very foundation that allows a woman like me to finally feel safe and feminine again. Remember that respect is a mirror. If you don't respect your own boundaries enough to keep your inner chaos private, a woman will never reflect respect back to you. Your silence is not an absence of feeling, it is the presence of strength. It is the wall that guards the castle you've spent a lifetime building, and it is the only thing that keeps the motherhood reflex at bay. Look back at your life for a moment. Think about the times when things shifted. Did the light in her eyes dim right after you shared too much? It wasn't because she didn't care about you. It was because she suddenly felt the weight of your world on her shoulders, and she simply didn't have the strength to carry it for you anymore. We live in a world that tells you to be modern and open. But biological reality hasn't changed just because we've reached our 60s. A woman still seeks the mountain, not the landslide. By keeping your gates closed to the unnecessary drama of your past, you offer her a gift. You offer her the luxury of not having to be your therapist. This is how you win the game that so many other men are losing every single day. The truth is that we are all walking toward the sunset together. At this age, nobody wants to walk with someone who trips over every single pebble. We want to walk with a man whose stride is steady and whose eyes are fixed on the horizon, not on the wounds of yesterday. We want to know that you are okay. It sounds harsh, I know. My friends would be furious if they knew I was telling you this. They want to keep their emotional janitor role hidden behind a mask of empathy. But I want you to be protected. I want you to have the dignity that comes with being a man who is his own source of stability. You've earned the right to be a pillar, not a project. Dignity is the only thing that cannot be replaced once it is gone. Once a woman sees you as a child she has to manage, she can never truly see you as a king again. Protect that image with everything you have. From now on, when the urge to vent strikes, take a breath. Wait 24 hours before you say a word. Solve the problem in the quiet of your own mind first. When you finally speak, report the victory, not the struggle. Show her the results of your strength, and watch how she leans into you with a level of devotion you haven't seen in years. This is your new path forward. It is a path of silence, of strength, and of deep, lasting peace. You are no longer the shipwrecked sailor looking for a shore. You are the lighthouse that guides the way home. Every week, I reveal more truths that other women my age would never admit to your face. Subscribe now so you are never caught off guard again by these psychological traps. If you want to stay protected and reclaim your peace, join us. Write Dignidade in the comments if you have realized that your silence is your greatest fortress. You don't have to play the victim anymore. You don't have to beg to be seen by someone else to feel whole. You just have to be the man she can't help but respect. You don't need to play that exhausting game ever again. Your silence is your fortress.